Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Glazer Arena, home of the Ithaca College Bombers. I am Frank Myra, here the Assistant Sports Information Director here at Ithaca College, joined by Colin Herb, who will be on play-by-play this afternoon on our Bombers YouTube channel, here broadcasting the 2023 NCAA Mideast Regionals.
It's absolutely lovely to be here in Glazer Arena. Got some high-quality competition, a lot of ranked wrestlers in these final bouts, and all the way through to
Roanoke, Virginia. That's where they're fighting for right now. They're fighting for bids, national bids to the national tournament.
Here, starting at 125, Terry Adams from your Sinus came in at number 4 in the bracket. He has a second-place finish at his conference championships, and he's actually a previous national qualifier. He took 3rd place in this regional tournament last year.
Yeah, and comparing him to his opponent, Joey Lamparelli from Muhlenberg College, Joey has had quite an interesting path here to the finals. In his first-round matchup, he actually won by a 28-6 tech fall. Holy smokes, Colin.
That is a lot of points to put up. And not only did he score that many points, he did it in style. He's quite flashy. He's really, really quick with his takedowns. You don't really see it coming until it happens. He's had a dominant career, too, for Muhlenberg. Last season, he led the Muhlenberg in wins, major decisions, tech falls, and pins.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. And they're commentating on this match. It's quite interesting. They're going white versus white right now in the singlets.
Yeah, a little bit interesting. Your Sinus, Terry Adams, is green, and Muhlenberg, probably because they're a little bit more maroon on their singlets, they are red. So Lamparelli really controlling the middle of the mat here, which is kind of his style. He's going to want to keep everything really concise. He's really, really quick. But he doesn't want this match to get in a lot of scramble situations. He wants to play his role.
No, and both, just from my viewing perspective, have similar type body types where they have they're quite lower towards the ground and muscular upper bodies, and I think they're just trying to feel each other out right here in the opening minute or so.
For sure, and you're going to see a lot in these final matches. The whole first period, especially if they haven't had prior history, it's going to be a lot of ties. It's going to be a lot of trying to create those angles, and once we get into the second and third period is where we're going to see offense start to fly around.
Yeah, and each of these wrestlers should be relatively fresh, having only wrestled in one bout prior to this championship matchup, correct, Colin?
Yeah, that's the great thing about the way this tournament is set up, the 2-day style, is coming into today, if you win your semifinals in the morning, is you have a long break period. 1, to get rested, and 2, to study your opponent. Especially, like I said before, if you haven't wrestled before, this may be one of the first times that you're able to see the way they move, what they like, what kind of ties they like, so that extra time is very useful. A lot of pressure off the edge of the mat, like we said before. Lamparelli really wants to control the center, but Adams doesn't seem really too concerned about that. He just wants to create his angles, and if that means giving up a little bit of ground, that means giving up a little bit of ground.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of action here as we trick down to the final 10 seconds of this first period. It looks like it'll end up being scoreless here, Colin.
Interesting, for the last 15 seconds, they kind of went all fours in the center, kind of dog versus dog, just eyeing each other down. Now, the interesting thing about the coin flips is in the finals, you see a lot of deferring and stuff when it comes to dual meets. Now that we're in a tournament setting, winning the coin flip is a huge advantage. Your first choice and the first point scored in a tied bout like this, you're able to choose when it comes to tiebreakers. So that one escape and that first point in such quick time is absolutely massive for Muhlenberg.
Yeah, no, that was a huge escape right there by Joey Lamparelli, if I'm not mistaken, as he's quickly up 1-0. And for Terry Adams, he only had 4 seconds of riding time, which isn't that impressive if you ask me.
No, especially in the lighter weights, you're going to tend to see a lot more rides. And we get into a little over-under situation. Terry Adams hits a headlock. No, he gave him reaction time. They said he's on top, gave him the 2 points, no reaction time from Lamparelli, and now we're in a scramble situation.
Yeah, this is a good scramble right here.
Lamparelli gets his escape, says, I'm going to get my one. I have my first points. Let's tie this up. And that could have been absolutely disaster for Lamparelli there.
Yeah, and if you ask me, he came into this matchup as the little bit slight favorite over Terry Adams.
Yeah, 125 was up for grabs. You had Rosenthal, who was number one in the bracket, lost both his matches in the prelims, didn't even make it out. So 125 has been crazy all weekend, but Lamparelli for sure, with his past being a qualifier, definitely the favorite here.
No, and you know what they say about wrestling. You got to unexpect the unexpected.
Yeah, you never really know. Anything can happen. Lamparelli doing a good job there, sprawling, keeping his legs back, knowing where he is on the mat, realizing that if Adams wants to score, he's going to have to get his hips inside, but by that point, he'd be way far off. A lot more fakes from Lamparelli than we're seeing from Adams. Adams being a little bit more content with letting Lamparelli kind of move. Adams creating his ankles from Lamparelli's movement, which playing a little bit of a defensive role. It worked out for him earlier.
Yeah, no, it's mono-e-mono right now here in Glazer Arena. As correct me if I'm wrong, Colin, within each bracket, the top 5 finishers will punch a ticket to Roanoke, Virginia.
Yep, top 5 will move on to the national tournament where anything can happen. Right now, when we see 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 matches, yes, of course, they definitely want this title, but they're playing a seeding game right now. They want a top seed. They want a quote-unquote easier road. Not that there is one once you reach the national tournament. So Lamparelli is going to cover on top, and he's going to look to ride here. A 2-2, that riding time point would be absolutely huge, and Adams got it off to a little bit slower start, so it might be something they keep in the back of their mind.
No, that was a good start right there at the beginning of this round as he really kind of broke his base there, and now he's kind of just riding on him and putting all his weight. Yeah, on top of him.
Lamparelli staying strong on top. He got that really deep tight waist and more of a parallel ride. Adams is going to have a tough time building his base when Lamparelli has that bulldog in. And we're going to a bow and arrow claw tilt type situation. Just he doesn't reach back for that leg. And there's an opportunity here for some near fall points.
Yeah, and just like that, Lamparelli now has has the riding time.
Yeah, Lamparelli too. In that type of position, it's really, really tough for Adams to build his base and squeak out. So even if he doesn't give up any back points, he's collecting that riding time right now is Lamparelli, and there's really no chance for Adams to build a base and create any opportunities for an escape.
Now this is a tough first round matchup right here for both of these competitors, as this could honestly go any way. It could go either way for these guys right now.
And as time winds down in the third period, that riding time clock has officially eclipsed 1 minute. So in theory, right now, Lamparelli has that 1 point riding time. Unless Adams can get a reversal or an escape and a takedown, it is Lamparelli's match.
Yeah, and right now he just has to hold strong for 25 more seconds and counting.
Adams has been absolutely struggling with that leg in. Thankfully, he gets a restart. He kind of needed that. He has been flat this entire third period.
Yeah, he honestly really just needs a quick escape right out of this from the jump, and let's see if he's going to be able to get it.
Stand up. Lamparelli with his mat return. He's going to look. He's okay to take a stall here. He already has one, and that is what you cannot give up. 2 reversal is the worst case scenario for Lamparelli.
Oh my gosh, Colin.
Adams with his step over. We're getting into scramble situation. Lamparelli getting out. Now this might be the match. If he's able to get one here, it's tied.
He got it. Did he get it?
Did they give it to him? They did not. They give the 1 point riding time to Lamparelli, but Adams with the late second heroics was able to get a 2 point reversal and claim the first Mideast title.
Hell of a start right here from 125 pounds. As, like you said, you called it, that first round, it was kind of feeling each other out. Second round, they shot their shots. And third round, that last minute, oh my gosh.
And that's what we're going to see a lot of today. That first period, without that prior history, it's a lot of feeling out, and then third period is where you win these finals matches. It comes down to the third period. There's 7 minutes in a match, and these guys plan to wrestle all 7. And you almost have to if you want to win. You cannot take any time off, because at this point, you're in the finals match. These guys are too good.
Yeah. No, kudos to Terry Adams for taking that NCAA Mideast regional crown right there at 125 pounds. And with that, we'll move on to 133 pounds, with that matchup being Ithaca College's own Isaiah Torres. Colin, can you kind of explain more about Isaiah's path to the finals here today?
Isaiah Torres has had an absolutely amazing season for a first year. He came in and kind of shocked everybody at the Ithaca Invitational, winning some matches that on paper as a first year nobody else is really expecting him to win, but he comes out, he controls the mat. This tournament this weekend, he outscored his opponents 26-5. Torres wins matches by scoring points. His offense is relentless, and he really is just diving in on his shots, and in turn that offense is what his defense is. He hasn't given up a takedown all tournament because he's always the one trying to score points.
Who doesn't love a little cliche offense turning into defense there? And like you said, Isaiah is a true freshman right now, and I don't think even head coach Marty Nichols expected this kind of run out of a first year that came out of the New York City area.
Definitely not, but his opponent is no slouch himself. Jaden Cardenas from Cortland comes in as the number 1 seed in the bracket. He is number 12 by D3 Wrestle and number 11 by the National Wrestling Coaches Association. So, he's had a weird path to here to this point, with a tech fall, then he squeaked out a sudden victory, and an injury defaulted to the finals, which is quite interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, no, that's quite interesting. And interestingly enough, Ithaca took on SUNY Cortland just about a week ago, and I think both head coaches were kind of saving their hands for this regional, as Isaiah and Jaden, they did not meet up during the Rumble and Tumble match.
No, they didn't, and this was definitely in the back of each coach's minds. They had a feeling that they were going to meet up in the finals. They've been the 2 most dominant wrestlers all year in 133, as you see them tied up now. But for sure, that was definitely crossing their minds. These ties, Torres likes to control the space, control the center of the mat. He doesn't really like to be in these ties. This is more of Cardenas' type of position. So we're going to see Cardenas try to pressure Torres into getting into the ties, and Torres is going to do his best to circle out of it. Now, Torres, even though he is quite younger as a first year, he does control the mat like a vet. You will see him, he always has his back to the center. He doesn't really get pushed out unless he's defending off a shot. So it definitely. And the funny thing about these two, while they're both ranked, they're first year, and Cardenas is a sophomore.
That is quite impressive. And common opponents-wise, they both...
Nice throw by Torres there, taking advantage of Cardenas coming in, trying to get into those ties that Torres doesn't want to be in. Saw him throw that elbow in the air, a little throw by, get behind, and now he's in a bar type of situation where he might be able to turn for a tilt.
No, and great mat awareness right now by Torres as his opponent right now, Jaden, is trying to get outside of that circle, and Torres is just utilizing his strength to kind of push him back inside of the mat. As there we go, the referee and head official there does blow his whistle. And
it was interesting there, you see them conferencing, yep, they will give 1 neutral. So as the wrestler in this place, Cardenas, turns in and faces him, they say that Torres had no more control and gave 1 neutral. You see the brick from Torres' side, which I honestly might agree with.
Yeah, as I don't think that was put into a neutral position, and they are going to go to an official video review.
It's interesting to see because you have, yes, both wrestlers were standing facing each other, but Torres was quote-unquote still in control. He still had his hand on the leg and still really pressing the pocket. So it's interesting to see if they will give that 1, or they might take it away and put Cardenas back down on bottom.
Now, I wish we could potentially provide the viewers at home a replay review, but unfortunately that stream is actually getting broadcast through Track Wrestling itself, where live statistics are being offered. And here's the official review. No neutral point.
No neutral. It goes back down on bottom, that's huge for Torres, because not only is he able to neglect that 1 point, but he gets to ride a little bit longer, which now you might think, oh, well, it's only the first period, but that riding time creeps up on you as you get deeper into the match.
No, those are precious seconds, Colin. And this is a good start right here from Isaiah. But I think Jaden is going to break out of it as we are back into that neutral position.
Torres is going to look to get out of that underhook type of situation. You see, he tried to duck under, but Cardenas is really strong. He keeps everything really tight. And now we're in a situation where Torres is going to have to throw a whizzer in on the edge of the mat.
Yeah, and they're not going to stop this match right now, as Torres does have his headgear a little placed off of his ears right now, and now they do blow the whistle as that one is around his neck and could potentially choke him.
For sure. They're never going to call that, especially in a situation where there might be points scored, as that little flurry on the edge there. But they do get a reset, which is better for Torres because he was giving up a little bit of space on the edge.
Yeah, but this is a close matchup. It still is a flip of a coin right now, Colin.
Yeah, 2-1 in Torres' favor as the time winds down. But Cardenas, his offense, he's been getting deep into his ties. You see there, a little underhook. He tried to throw over, but Torres is able to survive at the end of the period.
Yep, and like you said, he has 35 seconds of precious riding time. And here we go to that coin flip, which, like you said, it determines a lot going forward.
Right. Now it's not as stressful because Torres did score the first takedown, so he's okay to defer and see what Cardenas wants to do. And as you expect from a quick stand-up, Cardenas goes down. Torres is going to look for a little bit tougher of a ride than when he was placed down after the officials' review. And we're in a scramble situation. Torres comes back up, and this is not good for Torres. Cardenas is able to scramble in, turn in, and gets in a cradle-type position. Torres bellies out, which is absolutely massive for Torres not to give up near fall there.
Yeah. That was good defense right there by Torres. As he, like you said, he was in a very vulnerable position, and he was able to defensively just kind of get out of that.
Cardenas trying to grind on top. Torres looking for a Peterson here. Has that arm trapped and is looking for an arm to throw his other arm through the legs of Cardenas, but Cardenas is a little bit too strong on top, a little bit too much that pressure on the Torres' back.
Yep, as you can see, Torres trying to get his way out of there, but Cardenas is definitely showing his inner strength. But there we go. Torres does get out of there and escape and get that neutral point.
That's really nice sit out against that head lever, seeing where he is on the mat and shooting Cardenas off the mat. That's huge. So when you're on the edge, you can take that extra precious time and walk back into the center. But like I said, Torres really wants to fire off his offense. His name of the game is score as many points as possible, create as many opportunities as he can. So he shoots Cardenas off of the mat, just try to maybe be able to squeak a free takedown. Cardenas back into those ties. He really likes that left side underhook, which is interesting because you see he goes to that right side Russian a lot. So for him to go back to that right side Russian to the left side underhook, it creates a little bit of misdirection for Torres. He doesn't really know which side he plans to attack. So, but Torres is doing a fantastic job of staying square throughout all these ties.
I was going to say, I feel like Torres has a counter defense mechanism to every single one of these attacks that is getting fired by Jaden.
Yep, you see now Torres being a little bit more comfortable in those ties, and Cardenas has a little snatch single here. Torres on the edge of the mat.
We're taking down the time though. 3 seconds here left in the period. Oh!
Do they give it to Torres?
No.
Say no control out in the edge. He hits a little mule kick spin.
This is going to be a hell of a third period right here, Colin. Tied up 3-3. Torres has 18 seconds of riding time in his favor.
Yeah, that riding time is most likely going to be a non-factor with him going down. Torres is doing a great job on bottom all weekend long, getting up fairly quickly. And Cardenas is not known as a big rider.
Yep. There it is, just like that.
As we see, both guys come neutral. Now, this is where both wrestlers are at their strongest at neutral. So both of them are really comfortable here. Torres does have a 1-point lead, but Cardenas has really pushed the pace.
No, and I think this is both the biggest bouts that they've experienced so far within this Mideast regional.
Definitely.
And it's all coming down to the last minute and 25 here and counting in this third period of this 133-pound matchup between Isaiah Torres of Ithaca College and Jaden Cardenas of SUNY Cortland.
Yeah, that was a great throw by Torres there, using Cardenas' pressure against him. He's been pressuring, trying to get in those underhooks all week, and then Cardenas comes down in a little ankle pick. Torres is now in a scramble situation. We're in an over-under. This can go either way.
Yeah, but to me it looks like almost Torres has the advantage from our perspective here.
And he throws in a Merkle.
There it is, yep.
He throws in he's in a Merkle type situation, and the ref doesn't give him the points. And if they didn't throw the brick earlier, but you would think that they'd throw the brick now. Unfortunate for Torres, but they're still in a scramble. Anything can happen here. Cardenas does get the takedown. Torres falls victim to a takedown.
And now Torres just needs to get a quick escape out of this, as now the riding time is slowly trickling into the favor of Cardenas.
Cardenas does need a minute, and it's 20 seconds on the clock, so riding time will not be as much of a factor. But what is a factor is the ride itself. Torres needs an escape here. 5-4 lead for Cardenas.
13 seconds, 12,
and
11.
And Torres is able
It looks like he's getting choked.
throw his arm through. And, that was his opportunity. If he was going to get an escape, it was going to be in that opportunity. Last second Granby, just no good for Torres, and Cardenas comes out on top.
Oh, that was a tough matchup right there, and kudos to Jay Cardenas right there for taking that 6-4 decision.
Yeah, that was a really nice shot. He was using a lot of upper body techniques, so to come back where Torres is definitely expecting him to punch in an underhook, come down on that front side ankle for a little ankle pick, that was just really slick.
No, and in my opinion, I fully expect both these two gentlemen to make some noise now down in Roanoke, Virginia at the NCAA National Championship.
For sure. Once you get to Virginia, rankings don't matter as much as they do throughout the season. They definitely have the ability to shake things up.
No, like you said, in that tournament experience, you got to expect the unexpected.
And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more from those young guys the next couple of years. Torres being a first year, Cardenas being a sophomore. So I'm sure this same matchup is going to happen, especially both being within the Empire Conference.
College of Technology, Ryan Burke. In sixth place.
And just like that, we're kind of chugging right along here, Colin, as going into the 141-pound weight class moving forward. It will be Xavier Pena from Centenary University in New Jersey versus Dominic. I want you to help me out with his last name, Colin. It is DiFrancescantonio. Yep. If I'm mispronouncing it, I apologize. Dominic comes from TCNJ. As TCNJ, as a team right now, are currently leading over Ithaca College on team points.
They definitely are, but that score is a little bit skewed because Ithaca has 3 more wrestlers coming up to wrestle in the finals. But don't get me wrong, TCNJ definitely has their fair share. We have the Sacco brothers coming up later, as well as they have an absolutely host of third-place bouts. And also at heavyweight, Peter Wersinger for TCNJ.
Yeah. And that's where, so TCNJ has racked up 124.5 team total points, and Ithaca College right now is trailing with 115 total.
Yep. Now those first place and second place advancement points are not factored into that score right now, so anything can happen within these next couple of matches. If Ithaca sweeps or TCNJ sweeps, you can see either or coming in that first place spot. And it's interesting that those are the two leading the Mideast region, especially when RIT is the only ranked school in tournament rankings at this tournament.
Wrestling for third in the Trip to Nationals. He was fourth in 2020 from Marietta, New York. From Portland, K. Paul Donovan. And last year's runner-up at 133 pounds from Florida, from Ithaca, Luis Hernandez. And we'll have a medical fit championship with your winner, Xavier Pena.
Interesting, coming in at 141. Pena gets a medical forfeit.
That is quite interesting.
See, that might be strategic, considering Pena from Centenary is number 5 in the D3 Wrestling and National Coaches Poll. So, I mean, he coming in after day 1, he was in contention for the most outstanding wrestler of day 1. He had 3 pins under 1 match's worth of time.
Yeah, and arguably that could come down to either Pena and or Ithaca College's very own Ez Chikwueze.
Yeah, Ez has looked absolutely phenomenal all day. Hasn't been in trouble at once. So, I mean, with the two wrestlers, presumably 197 hasn't happened yet, but Ez is the favorite at number 5 in the country. You would think that either one of them are going to win most outstanding wrestler today.
Justin, can you go talk down to Spencer, Oscar, and tell Spencer that they're right here?
Dominic was ranked, though, by D3 Wrestle. He was number 14 at D3 Wrestling ranking, so that would have been a fun matchup to watch against number 5 Xavier Pena. And he also has a ranked win in this tournament. He beat Cahal Donovan from Cortland.
Yep, as the action there with that medical forfeit has kind of paused here in these championship bouts.
Kind of stalled out. Unfortunately, we don't have manpower to get individual cameras for every single mat here. We aren't like the big guys at the Big Ten, unfortunately, because there's some great wrestling going on for 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th, and 7th and 8th on the other mats.
Yes, who is that on mat 2 right now?
Mat 2 is Cahal Donovan, who was ranked and actually lost to DeFrancesco Antonio, and Luis Hernandez, who was also ranked by D3 Wrestle, and at one point was ranked by the NWCA poll.
Yep, as we just kind of try to pan our camera over there to meet that action of that 3rd place matchup over here, as Luis Hernandez is a returning NCAA regional qualifier from 141 pounds from a season ago.
Yeah, Hernandez having a great year this year.
To me, it's been quite a quiet year from Luis, to be completely honest with you. He's just been kind of just chugging along all season, just putting his head down to the grindstone and just doing his thing.
Yeah, if you look at the record, his record's a little bit skewed because he has had some D1 competition in the New York State Championships against schools like Army and Buffalo, and he wrestled wrestlers in the top 5 4 separate times this year. He wrestled Kyle Slenthorn from Stevens, who was ranked number 3 in the country twice. He wrestled Jacob Reed from Ohio Northern, who's ranked number 2 in the country. And at this very own tournament, he wrestled Xavier Pena in the semis, who's ranked number 5 in the country. So it's been a tough road for Hernandez, but he hasn't had a non-ranked loss that was ranked higher than him all season.
Yeah, that Miami hometown, he knows his stuff from wrestling.
He can take the heat.
And head coach Marty Nichols doesn't mess around with scheduling any lightweight competition around here, as the Bombers travel well and they show out at a lot of these notoriety tournaments and or duels throughout the regular season.
For sure, as we see Hernandez get his one there. Donovan's no slouch. Donovan is ranked by D3 Wrestle number 18. He has had a little bit of injury as he's in on a shot. He's on a crackdown single type position now, head inside. Hernandez is scrambling, and Donovan's definitely favored to score here. Interesting to see if Hernandez is able to roll out, but Donovan, as he builds his base and seems to come across in a double type of situation, will get his 2. That gives him the lead here in the second period, 4-2, which 2 points is a lot once you get to this stage. It's definitely hard to score on wrestlers that have as good defense as Hernandez and Donovan themselves. So 4-3 bout, we're getting up there.
Yeah, as that one is here in the second period.
Donovan does have a decent amount of riding time, has not had enough to collect that 1 minute, but we'll see depending on what we select in the third period. That might come a factor in such a type out.
But who doesn't love a little Ithaca College SUNY Cortland rivalry matchup? Just 2 straight matches like that here, Colin.
It's quite interesting and quite fun, especially these ranked matches that we didn't get to see at the Rumble and Tumble duels.
No, and that's where, like I said before, I think both head coaches from both schools kind of didn't want to show their hands at the Rumble and Tumble, with it being the last regular season event prior to this NCAA Mideast regional qualifier.
Definitely. As important as duels are, that late in the season, you're preparing for the postseason. So if you have to sacrifice maybe a match here or a match there to get your guys the best seed you possibly can going into nationals, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, and it turned out to be quite an entertaining ending to the Rumble and Tumble, as Matthew Byer had a epic last-second fall versus who was it again?
Angelo Centrone, who is ranked. Byer and Centrone are both ranked. Centrone is number 19, and Byer is number 15 by the Coaches Association, and number 11 by D3 Wrestle. But we are going to see Byer wrestle here shortly.
Yeah. And Beyer has had a very good path here to the finals as his semifinal bout. If you could describe a little bit what happened during that, Colin, down there on the mats.
It was electric. Last minute takedown heroics. The crowd went crazy because it was a tight duel the entire time, and he was able to pull it out and come back from a small deficit.
Yeah.
So to see him come against Mon, who we're going to talk about a little bit here coming up, highly ranked wrestler, is going to be really interesting as we see Luis Hernandez on top.
I was going to say, this is a strong ride right here by Luis.
Yeah, it erases all that riding time, and if he rides out the rest of the period, it's a tied match.
Yeah, and that goes into overtime, correct?
Yeah. It does go into overtime, sudden victory. Donovan, great switch, is able to get his 2 reversal, and that is the worst case scenario for Hernandez. You want to give 1, not 2 there, but down 1, Hernandez was looking for maybe a throw opportunity out in front of him and just came up a little short. Donovan really aggressive there on that reversal.
Yeah, you hate to see it right there from Hernandez's perspective, as now he's in this position where he is now getting ridden, and he just has to kind of just quickly find an escape and maybe a reversal of his own, as there's only 38 seconds left here in the third period.
Yeah, down 3, you need to escape and a takedown here and maybe go for something big. And coming into this match too, Hernandez was seconds away and maybe a stalemate call or 2 away on the edge of the mat from upsetting number 5 in the country, Pena. So while 4th place does send him off to Virginia, it's a little bit upsetting when you're so close to reaching that finals match.
Yeah, it has to give you that little bit of a sour taste in your mouth, but then again, Colin, it could give you a little bit more extra motivation going into the national championship match.
Anything can happen once you make natties. I see Donovan gets the victory there, claims his 3rd place position on the podium, and we are now going to be back shortly with championship 1st place wrestling.
Yep, and that'll move us up to the 149-pound weight class where, as we described before, it'll be Matthew Beyer, Ithaca College's own, versus Thomas Mon from McDaniel College. What was Thomas Mon ranked coming into this matchup? Or excuse me, what was he seeded?
Mon was the number 1 seed, aided by his super high ranking. Mon has had a great year. He's ranked number 4 by D3 Wrestling and number 3 by the National Wrestling Coaches Association. But that high ranking, he almost got upset in the prelims. Wrestler came in from your sinus, hit him with a big wet neck whip, but Mon was able, as it normally happens with great wrestlers, fight off his back and then come out on top with a fall. And he's been smooth this entire ride. Winning against a ranked opponent in Conklin and scoring some bonus points for McDaniel.
No, and just doing a little research prior to our broadcast, Colin, we were our jaws dropped to the floor just looking at the 149-pound bracket coming into this 2-day regional was outstanding with like the amount of competition to fight. Both these two were the 1 and 2 seed to kind of, the cream rises to the top at the end of the day.
Yeah, 149 was absolutely loaded. You have obviously McDaniel, who he said was ranked top 5, number 4 D3, number 3 coaches. We have a Beyer, who he's wrestling, who's number 11 on the coaches poll, or number 15 in the coach poll, number 11 D3 wrestling. Then to win, to get into the finals, both wrestlers wrestled ranked opponents. McDaniel, Thomas Mon, wrestled Conklin from TCNJ, who's ranked number 20. And Beyer, to get into this match, wrestled number 21, Jeff Johnson from New Jersey City. And not to mention, like we mentioned earlier, Centrone, who was number 6 in the region, was ranked higher than those 2 wrestlers at number 19.
That is just crazy. And that's where, like I said, the cream rises to the top. And both these guys stuck to their moves, stuck to their shots. And here we are in this championship bout.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting because it's a little bit differential in styles. Mon is definitely taller, a lot lankier. He is known as a dog on top. He wants to ride. He wants to tire you out. He wants to get turns and tilts, while Bayer is a lot more of a neutral wrestler. He wants takedowns. He'll give you an escape because that just means that he has another opportunity for a takedown.
Yeah, and he has a full bag of tricks, as we kind of witnessed at the Rumble and Tumble, as he was just able to get himself out of a precarious situation, as he was actually down 4 points in the deep into the third period.
Yeah, down late, he hit a 6 cement mixer, came over the top, and was able to land for a fall, which, like we said earlier, you have 7 minutes to wrestle. Anything can happen within those 7 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't know what a cement mixer was coming into that, and I honestly thought it was just a spiked DDT into the mat.
Sure looked like it. I'm sure it hurt around the same.
Riverdale, New Jersey, from Ithaca College, Matt Bayer.
As John Gregory, the public address announcer, introduces both of these wrestlers to the fans here in Glazer Arena.
You see kind of the home mat advantage there. As soon as Bayer's name was introduced, the crowd went crazy a little bit. Extra shouting. Maybe the refs will give him a call. They think so. Bayer's been using that Russian all week. Really all season, in all honesty. He really likes that Russian tie. He has a lot of different types of shots. He's not a one-trick pony by any means with that Russian, but it's going to be his go-to this match, especially with Mon being so tall.
Yeah, as they're both trying to fight for that top positioning right now with that wrist control.
Yeah, Mons is going to be a little bit more comfortable from space just because he has that reach advantage. So his shots, he doesn't need to be right up on top of you like Bayer, who's not necessarily short, but compared to Mon, who is much, much taller than most 149-pounders.
Yeah, you can definitely see his lankiness, especially from his arm perspective, and even like his lower leg extremities.
As Mon gets it in there on a little misdirection ankle pick, but Bayer really quick to step out of it, and now he's right back in on that Russian as Bayer.
Yeah. Like you said, I don't know if Coach Marty Nichols was working on that Russian all week prior to this NCAA regional, but that's something he's definitely utilized here the last 2 days.
Yeah, it's definitely his go-to, but he's hit his fair share of throws and really likes the front headlock position too, though with Mon being so tall, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to snap him down that easily. Mon is going to look for a little bit more outside singles, a little bit more ankle picks, things that he can use his range to his advantage.
Yep, as you previously mentioned, Conklin got into this championship bout by winning a close 4-2 decision over Tyler Conklin from TCNJ.
Yeah, and mutual opponent-wise, Bayer has also had Conklin's number all season. Conklin came into the season at the very first rankings, ranked number 5 before Bayer upset him at New Standard Invite, and then again later in a duel. So both of these wrestlers had to go through Conklin, so that is the one mutual opponent that they have wrestled and that we know a little bit about. But very similar results against Conklin and very similar style of matches against Conklin. So it's interesting to see these two finally meet up.
Yep, it's like similar to that first and second bout.
Nice high crotch by Bayer, and it ends up in a crackdown single type of situation. Mon using that length and using that flexibility.
Yep, Bayer has 20 seconds and counting here to try to make something happen to score a point.
Yeah, Bayer's going to need to bring his hips up, but Mon, being how long he is able to lock in the crotch. We're in a scramble type position. It's kind of 50-50. You would expect a stalemate if this was the middle of the period, but with time this close, you're probably going to let the time run off the clock.
Yep, and that's exactly what they did as we go to the coin flip. And the winner of that one is Matthew Bayer.
Bayer wins the coin flip. First point potential, and he defers.
Interesting tactics right there.
Bayer's feeling comfortable, wants to win this match within the first 3 periods. Guess he's not really thinking or concerned about overtime.
Nope, and then that'll put Thomas Mon now on the bottom with Bayer riding, as they'll have to reset that start position.
Bayer trying to jump the gun, get a nice breakdown. It's interesting once you go against taller wrestlers like that, if they are able to explode up and create that space first because they're so tall, mat returns are a little bit extra difficult. So Byer trying to jump the gun there and break him down flat. As we see Mon able to knee slide out, step up.
Yeah,
now we're back in.
Trying to utilize his length right now, and that's exactly what he was able to do to get that neutral point.
He's able to post up on that shoulder, and he gets his one. Now, riding time is not a factor for Byer, but assuming Byer goes down in the third period to get that escape point, Mon is known for riding on top, being so tall, throwing in those legs. So, riding time is something to watch, and that 11 seconds, it's not inconsiderate.
No, I think just Byer just really needs to kind of find and move right here or something just to kind of score.
Yep. Byer's doing a great job of controlling Mon's offense with that Russian. While Byer isn't able to get a lot of his own shots off, partially because of Mon's defense and partially because he's unable to kind of close that space to that near side leg. You see things like that where Mon is reaching for maybe a cross-side ankle pick and he's unable to get that because of Byer's control in that Russian, where they call it stalemate. Because of no progress, I assume.
And then there is just a little under a minute here left in the second period. It is McDaniel College's Thomas Mon versus Matthew Byer from Ithaca.
Another ranked matchup, something that we're going to see pretty much the entire way out from this point on. Exciting to see such good wrestling.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. There really hasn't been a true Cinderella story coming through the brackets.
There hasn't been much of a Cinderella story. There has been upsets like you would expect in any tournament, but nothing really Cinderella-like. Everybody who's won had the capabilities coming in here to win. Mon getting potentially dangerous. He's trying to pick away at the fingers there.
Yep.
Ref's not having it.
As there's 20 seconds here now. 16, 15.
Yeah, both wrestlers probably aren't going to shoot off anything crazy here, trying to let the time run off the clock, and then let this be decided in the third period.
Yeah, save your energy, kind of reset, and then it's that do or die third period.
Right. You see a couple fakes there. No one's really trying to score, just trying to create opportunity, see what might work later on. Byer does go down, which we kind of predicted being such a close match. 1-0, get your escape, tie it up. But now we get to see Mon work on top.
Yeah, but like you said, Colin, he's a dog on top. So let's see what Matthew Byer's got.
He's known for his rides, for his turns, being so long. You might see a leg come in here or there. He's really, really comfortable in all his tilt type of positions. And Byer's strong, standing right up. And see Mon try to throw that leg in for a mat return.
Yep. I think he just about has it here.
Mon really slick coming back down for an ankle pick, and Byer's in a switch type situation, and Mon does a good job of getting that reset.
Yep. And just like that, he now has an 18-second advantage in riding time through that little flurry of moves.
Yeah, Byer wants a quick escape here. Doesn't want riding time to come into factor. It's hard enough to force a takedown on number 4 in the country. It's even harder to force a takedown, let him up again, then take him back down for a victory. Byer controlling that leg, not letting the boot come in. Mon going for a trip. And Byer maybe saw the neck whip that happened in the prelims and got a little frisky there. He's like, well, let's try it myself. Maybe try to throw him over and get some near fall, but unable to do so. Mon is definitely controlling the top position as riding time is racking up.
Yeah. And that's where Byer just really needs an escape here and then go to that neutral position, hopefully, and then try to get a takedown. But there we go. We're back.
Byer was as close as ever to getting one there, and he's off the edge of the mat.
But this is Matt Byer territory. This was how deep he was into that third period at the Rumble and Tumble. So
this is how deep he was into the third period last match, too, when he got that late takedown.
Yeah.
Anything can happen here. And Byer does get his one, but he needs a takedown because that riding point is on the board.
Yeah. As you can see, he has his full Ithaca College contingent of teammates there in support, cheering him on.
30 seconds remaining. You're going to see maybe a little bit less of ties for Byer. You're going to see him create angles, maybe shoot for space once or twice, get in a scramble type of situation because he is in dire need of a takedown.
Yep, as there is now 15 seconds here. Good shoot right there by Byer.
Nice head outside single, and he has to come up, but Mon is locked in the crotch. With 10 seconds remaining, this is a tough position to score for Byer.
Yeah. And this is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And they do not give it to Byer. They're going to throw the challenge brick because I would too. He did come across the back of the hip to that in what would typically be a control position. Mon was locked in the crotch, but Byer seemed to show control throughout the entire takedown.
So would that potentially get the match into Byer's favor points-wise?
Yeah, with 2 seconds remaining, once you, if they do end that takedown, they'll put that time back up on the clock, and Mon has 2 seconds to make magic happen and try to get a reversal. But that was a crazy flurry of events. What you typically see there from the top position is you lock in the crotch and they try to roll to create a scramble situation. With that little amount of time on the clock, Mon was comfortable there. He's like, okay, maybe not try to make anything crazy happen. Let's just try to control this match and win on that riding point. And then Byer was able to reach across for the 2.
Yeah, as both officials are under this official review process, as we do have a decision, and the decision was not in favor of Matt Byer, and the match does end in a 2-1 decision for McDaniel College's Thomas Mon, as he took that one 2-1. But like I said before, I think both these guys are going to have themselves quite a NCAA national championship, as that one could have went either way there, Colin.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a great match wrestled by both wrestlers. Very defensive, not a ton of offensive opportunities, but I would be kind of void to say that there was no action.
Yeah, no, like you said, they were quite defensive, but I feel like they kind of, I think, had to come into this match with that strategy to kind of protect themselves, as they knew that, I think they scouted each other prior to the matchup, but Thomas Mon did take that one, so kudos to him. And with that will move us on to the 157-pound weight class, which will feature a bout Wenchard Pierre Lewis of Ithaca College versus Matthew Sacco of TCNJ.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting one to watch, especially feeling that kind of loss from Ithaca last time. Wenchard, has a little, when we say home at advantage, seeing your teammate lose in the final before you, that's a little bit extra fire underneath you, but we know Wenchard's ready to go, especially against another ranked opponent, as you might imagine, from TCNJ. And this is not only big for individual championship, but this is absolutely huge for the team championship.
No, and I would be remiss to not mention that Wenchard is honestly one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, just based off of his move and skill set. He's very, I don't know how to describe it. Is it odd or irregular with his different move sets or attacks?
Definitely. Wenchard is a very flashy wrestler. He's going to show a lot of things that maybe he doesn't really plan to do, but he's going to make you move, and he's going to make you make a decision, and he's going to throw a lot of misdirection. It's kind of like in football, when you run like all these different motions, and we're going to option out and run an RPO, and then you have all these different things that you got to take account of. Wenchard is the wrestling version of an RPO.
That's quite an analogy right there, Colin Herb. I appreciate that one, being a former football player myself. But back to Wenchard, though, I want to throw in that iron sharpens iron, and that is a big thing within that weight class here at Ithaca with a former NCAA regional qualifier in Travis Jones. Him being in the room and moving up 2 weight classes this past year has made a huge impact on Wenchard, just being a young sophomore that kind of was injured here and there his freshman year.
Yeah, for sure. You have Travis Jones there, who's a vet, who's been around, who is a qualifier. You just saw Byer wrestle at 149, the weight right below him. Then you have a young Jackson Gray, who wrestled most of the season at 65, who was ranked at one point. So Ithaca's room is very, very, very competitive. And some might argue the room, depending on what school you go to, might be more competitive than what you see out in, a dual meet or maybe certain invitational. So iron does sharpen iron, and it's great to see that.
Yeah. And speaking about iron sharpening iron, how about having a brother? Is he twin brother, or are they just brothers?
That knowledge I do not know. I might have to track down their parents. But Matt Sacco from TCNJ, he does claim a number 9 D3 wrestling ranking and number 12 Coaches Association ranking. And his brother is also ranked at the weight above him at 165 at number 16 at D3 Wrestle. So not only do you have that kind of butting heads in the mat room, but imagine going home across the dinner table and you're going to have to wrestle in the living room for the last biscuit.
That's a great one-liner right there. As you had me rolling with that one, Colin. As John Gregory is announcing the two competitors here, Matt Sacco versus Wenchard Pierre-Louis.
Yeah. Wenchard does have the number 24 G3 Wrestle ranking, but he has a lot of competition with higher-ranked wrestlers and even has a couple wins against D1 competition in the New York State Championships. He has a victory over D1 Army.
Yeah.
So no slouch when it comes to wrestling higher competition. He wasn't dodging these matches when the matches he did wrestle did not wrestle due to injury. So definitely a competitive bout, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, you and me both.
Sacco, technically, on paper, has an upset over NWCA and NCAA qualifier Brandon Bowles from Muhlenberg to get in here. But Sacco wrestles that type of wrestling where an upset can happen at any moment because he likes decisions. He likes these close matches. He's not going to try to score 85 points in a duel. He's not going to try to create all these weird scramble situations. He's going to keep everything tight and let the scoreboard dictate who wins within 7 minutes.
Yep, as Wenchard right there is on the defensive right now. As I think he's going to try to roll his hips through that lock.
Yeah, Wenchard in a classic sprawl situation. You see him posted up on that far hip. Sacco with his head in between Wenchard's legs, definitely not in a position to get anything done there. So that's stalemate all day. See Wenchard a little bit less flashy this match. I think within the two matches that he watched, as Sacco is a familiar opponent for Ithaca College in general, as we had a duel.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Travis Jones faced off against Sacco here in the Hill Center with Sacco. I want to say it was a regular decision.
Yep. It was a regular decision, and then this year, when they traveled to TCNJ, him and Travis Jones, Sacco and Travis Jones wrestled again for another decision, and
both were close matchups.
Sick shot there by Sacco, able to come pick that ankle, come out head inside single type position. Wenchard doing a great job with that shin whizzer, keeping his hips out and rotating through.
And great idea right there by Wenchard to grab his wrist too.
Sacco in the driver's seat there. But Wenchard, great defense, great whizzer, and great job keeping his hips up off of the mat. That was really the difference there in preventing that takedown.
Yeah, that could potentially be huge moving forward, as it is a scoreless first period here with less than 30 seconds remaining.
And Sacco, the way he wrestles, the way he likes that, those 2 points are huge. He hasn't won a match this weekend with a margin of victory greater than 3 points. Wenchard able to stuff that shot and hip in. Sacco is going to have to create a little bit of a better angle if he wants to get in on that shot. Wenchard's really, really strong for 157. If you're walking by him out in the street, you would probably assume that he's a minimum 65, maybe even 74, but he's able to cut his way down to 57, and he's very big and strong for the weight class.
Yep, as the coin toss is finished with Sacco gaining that advantage, and he chooses to be on top here to begin the second period.
Yeah, Wenchard looking for a quick escape here. Wenchard has struggled in bottom throughout the season, and we see a potential locked hands there around the waist. The ref didn't call. It said that there was reaction time there for him to break the lock. depending on the referee that you might get, that's a potential one for Wenchard.
Yeah.
But as it is, 0-0, Wenchard's going to look for an escape as he was facing there, and they call a very quick stalemate.
Yeah, I don't think head coach Marty Nichols was a fan of that stalemate right there that was called.
Yeah.
And he's also, I think, trying to tell that second official to look for that lock.
Yep, you see the Ithaca bench pleading their case this entire time. A great mat return by Sacco there, keeping his hips in line with Wenchard on the return. Wenchard not stopping, though, doing a great job of
good move
creating
right there.
those opportunities. And that's what happens when you create those opportunities. You're able to score off your opponent's mistakes.
No, that was huge and good ability right there by Wenchard to just control his body right there on his hips to be able to swing them out of that position in which he was in.
Yeah, did a great job of recognizing where Sacco was at as the mat return progressed. Sacco here looking for a stand-up in a situation. Wenchard just lets him go. So with that, Wenchard does take the lead. The perfect amount of riding time for each wrestler to equal out at double zeros.
Crazy business right there. As Wenchard has a 2-1 lead now with 36 seconds here remaining in this first period.
Like I said before, this is Sacco territory. He doesn't like a lot of points on the board, likes to keep it close and wait till the third period to really make a move. But Wenchard doing a good job defensively. His sprawls really, really tough to penetrate. His hips were back, legs were back. So Sacco's going to have to find a different angle and maybe kind of shy away from that straight-on double.
Yeah, and if Wenchard could kind of score a quick point right here, that'd be advantageous for him.
Wenchard getting hit for a stalling, as he hasn't really created too many shots of himself, but it's not like Sacco shot 85 shots this match. So interesting choice, but understandable because Wenchard's offense hasn't really been there from neutral position. So maybe warranted. Sacco obviously going to choose bottom. Needs that one escape to tie it up. Wenchard looking to call injury time, maybe. And
I don't know what that was all about there.
It looked like he walked to the bench to call injury, but didn't get it. Lets him go right off the bat, says, I want to wrestle from neutral. Interesting decision because Wenchard hasn't really been able to get to his offense this match.
Yeah, very interesting, but he does have a 5-second advantage in riding time, so I think he would just have to be very defensive while being offensive.
Great job by Wenchard. That misdirection, those throw-bys, and a great shelf single, pressuring back across, almost slaps him in the head.
That was dirty right there, Colin. And who are we to judge him letting him go into that neutral position? He had a plan of attack going into that.
I think he must have heard us because that was a great flurry. You see a lot of times people try to control that position, keep it slower, try to like feel their opponent out. Wenchard was just getting it moving. Sacco had to defend one way, the other way, and Wenchard just wanted Sacco to move to see that opening, and he capitalized.
Yeah, so just like that, Wenchard has a 4-3 lead as Sacco did break back into the neutral position as there is under a minute now left here in the third period. Advantage Wenchard, I'd say. It
is worth noting that Wenchard did get hit with a stall. Now, he did score a takedown, so you would imagine that Sacco needs a couple more takedown opportunities. Wenchard has a whizzer in, so you would see that this probably isn't going to go anywhere being this close to the edge of the mat.
Yep, as there is 35 seconds here.
Sacco doing a good job, though, shelving that bottom leg on his very own leg, and they call it potentially dangerous against the knee. Working against the joint there, says the referee. And TCNJ is very, very upset about that call.
Yeah. They're either upset or their head coach right now is kind of giving that Matt Sacco just that little bit of extra motivation that he needs here in the last final 20 seconds.
Wenchard able to hip down and get a two takedown. And that pretty much solidifies it for Wenchard. Up 3 with 10 seconds remaining. Sacco understands the situation, and they're just kind of... that's the match. Wenchard pulling ahead. Not many of his own offensive opportunities, but great defense leads to a couple takedowns as Wenchard takes home a title at 157 pounds for Ithaca.
Yep, good impressive match right there by Wenchard Pierre Lewis as he took that one by a final 6-3 decision.
Wenchard, like we said before the match started, definitely one of the flashiest wrestlers here. Maybe not really flashy during the finals match, but definitely flashy afterward. Excited to win that Mideast championship.
Yes, he is, as he has just continually gone through that upwards trajectory this season, and he just has continued to grow and has just continued to steadily improve.
Yeah, and on paper upset for Wenchard there too. I mean, what would be a doubling of his very own ranking as he came into the match at 24 and Sacco at number 12 by the coaches and number 9 by T3 Wrestling. So Wenchard definitely considered the underdog there, but showed up when it mattered most.
Yeah. And that'll move us now up to the 165-pound weight class, which will feature, as we mentioned before, the brother of Matt Sacco in Nicholas Sacco, as he also goes to TCNJ. He'll be squaring off against Adam Lamb from RIT.
Yeah, it's definitely not deja vu. I did get confirmation that they are two separate wrestlers at different weights. But you're going to see a lot of a similar style here, as you might imagine. Sacco brothers have similar styles against Lamb, who Lamb is number 3 in the country.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've witnessed Adam Lamb wrestle for the last 2 years here, whether it was the Bomber Invitational and or New York State's last season, and then even here at the Bomber Invite this past fall. He's quite an impressive wrestler, Colin. And that's where he's I want to say a 2-time NCAA Mideast regional qualifier from this weight class. So I'd say this one have to be a Nicholas Sacco upset. So it's going to be quite an interesting matchup nonetheless.
For sure. Lamb is one of the favorites to make a deep run in the tournament. He had a couple gritty matches early on, but as most top guys do, not every win is pretty, but as long as you win, that's all that matters. Lamb is on the only ranked tournament team here, RIT, which is quite interesting, and he really is the big boost in the rankings that earns them that spot as number 3 in the country and a quote-unquote dark horse, as much of a number 3 can be, to win the national title. Lamb really boosts RIT into those national rankings, where you don't see teams like TCNJ and Ithaca, even though they dominate most of these final matches and third place matches here, you don't see them reaching those big tournament rankings by team.
Yep, as there is just a slight pause in the action right now, as I think they are doing a video review over on the third place bouts.
It's awesome for the fans here to be able to watch weight by weight, so maybe if a match ends quick, they're able to see some really, really good wrestling on another mat. But apologize for the people at home that maybe don't get to see that big-time action on those other mats, because it really is very fun to watch. And a lot of those third and fourth and even fifth and sixth place matches are indeed ranked.
Yeah. I think we can agree upon one thing, Colin, is there has been some great wrestling here in Ithaca, New York all weekend long.
That is a point that I would never tend to argue. One minute and 19 seconds on the third and fourth place match. As we pan over to give you a little bit of an insight on what's going on. We have Bowles from Muhlenberg, who we previously mentioned was ranked number 7 in the country. Came in, he's an NCAA qualifier last year.
You said he got upset, correct me if I'm wrong, in his semifinal matchup.
Yep, he was upset by Sacco, which it wasn't a crazy upset on paper. You have number 9 and number 7 going at it. Anything can happen, but indeed an upset to say the least. He was number 1 in the Mideastern rankings. And you have for Elizabethtown Gonzalez, who is also ranked. So, and like we said before, Dorian Gonzalez comes in ranked, and we have top 20 matchup wrestling for 3rd and 4th in our very own region. These are types of matchups that some regions don't see until you reach that national stage.
And that's where I was kind of alluding to that before. This Mideast region is quite strong, especially within New York State, I think. Like high school wrestling in New York State, as well as in Pennsylvania, is quite strong in the area.
Yep, the tri-state area has historically been really, really strong wrestling. And in the Mideast region, you get a lot of those New Jersey schools, TCNJ, City, New Jersey, Centenary. And
Stevens used to be in the Mideast, and then with the reshaping of kind of the different regions, I want to say they're in the Atlantic region now. Yep,
definitely they move in to that region. But then you get a couple of the Pennsylvania schools here, like Pentec is within the Mideast region, and of course New York's not no slouch either. So you have like Ithaca, RIT, those schools that are historically very, very good. That are able to compete recruiting-wise against those PA schools like Elizabethtown and things like that.
Yep, correct me if I'm wrong. Is there another video review?
They absolutely love the review on that, too. They are going back to the review, and it seems like in every single weight. But
I think they just want to probably kind of get everything right from an officiating standpoint. But maybe this might be turning into the NBA out here with the amount of video reviews that are going on down here in Glazer Arena.
Yeah, very important to get it right, especially when seeding is so vital going into the national tournament. 7-3 here, Bulls in the lead. They're reviewing a late-minute takedown on the edge against Gonzalez. Part of it is medical, too. Gonzalez has a little bit of a bloody nose. Hopefully he's able to recover in time. And he is. They say no takedown for Bulls. So Bulls put a match in a very dangerous spot for Gonzalez at 7-3 with that takedown. It gets taken off of the board. It is now a 5-3 match. They are at neutral. There is no riding time. And Gonzalez is able to make something happen now.
Yeah, he has 25 seconds here to make something happen.
Goes for a quick off-the-whistle shot, trying to pick an ankle. Gets hit with a caution early. Bulls definitely playing defense here. Gonzalez, it's a little bit of acrobatics, jumping over the top, trying to catch Bulls off guard, but both wrestlers are able to roll through. 10 seconds winding down. Gonzalez in an underhook. Bulls able to whiz her over with that overhook. And Gonzalez has the ability to make something happen here. And off the edge of the mat, as time runs down, no time is being put in the clock for a restart, and Bulls takes it. 3rd place.
Yep.
Moving on down to national tournament.
Yep. As now the 149-pound weight class, they will be awarded their medalists.
RIT, Mike Glenn.
Prior to this next bout, as we had previously introduced, is at the 165-pound weight class, which is Adam Lamb from RIT versus Nick Sacco from TCNJ.
In 6th place.
Austin Lamb has that experience from being down in that tournament, and Sacco definitely has his own experience. Iron sharpens iron. He's been wrestling his brother in the room. The entirety of TCNJ is pretty much ranked from top to bottom. But Lamb has a unique opportunity that not a ton of schools have. He was able to train with a national champion in his very own room, a weight class above him last year.
Yeah, no, and that's where being able to do that experience, especially being a younger guy in that room, you're kind of able to learn some of those little tips and tricks, some of those little niches that older wrestler kind of learns along the way of his collegiate career.
Yeah, especially a wrestler of that caliber who's definitely been in this situation before, and Lamb himself in this situation before, but have his knowledge as well as his mentor's knowledge down in the national tournament.
Yeah, and just from a quick glance from our perspective up here, in our little broadcast booth, both of these wrestlers have very similar body types and composition, where I think like in the 149-pound weight class we mentioned, where Beyer, he kind of had that disadvantage with the length from the arms perspective. These two wrestlers, to me, I don't see anything that stands out by the naked eye.
Yeah, once you get up to 57 through 74 and maybe even 84, well, 84 a little bit less so, but 57 from 74 is kind of that sweet spot. It kind of looks like you kind of copy paste everyone from team to team. You know, they all have similar builds, and not all of them, but a lot of them have that similar style because they're all built the same way. So a lot of it's very technical, very strong. Strength is a huge thing when it comes to this weight class. So those older guys, those juniors, those seniors, those grads tend to have a little bit extra advantage just because they had time to fill out the weight class in full.
Yeah. This is a very neutral perspective start to this matchup.
And Lamb has his headgear absolutely ripped off his head. Always funny to see a headgear fly off the side, because many wrestlers don't want headgear to be NCAA requirement anymore, especially with the movement from the international scene where they don't have to wrestle with headgear. So
Really? I did not know that.
yeah, that's a fun fact for you.
You learn something new every day.
Lamb and Sacco both have similar styles here. They're not very flashy. Everything's really tight and concise. You're gonna see a lot of things like this, you know, little flurries, but everything's kind of straight on, and then they'll stall out and slow. If they don't get those immediate points, they aren't going to create any scramble situations to put themselves in danger. They're going to rely on their technique and their strength to put themselves in the best position possible. Sacco firing off a shot there.
Yep, that's 2 points.
That was a beautiful single. Almost like a high crotch situation, but he swung out to the side and kind of a knee pick. Was able to catch Lamb off guard on his heels and get it clean too, which two that you don't really see giving up that clean from Lamb, number 3 in the country.
No, and that's why our TCNJ's coaches right now they're grinning from ear to ear right now with that move. I don't know if that was planned in the wrestling room or what, but that was a good shot as you had described.
Yeah, they're very fired up about that. Anytime you get a clean 2 in the finals that looks that pretty, you have to be happy as coaching staff. Any points are great. Points that look that good are hard to come by.
Yeah, and he's proven to be a tough ride right now on Lamb, as he's kind of manhandling him a little bit, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, interesting that Lamb hasn't really been able to create any space at all. He's covering him like a blanket.
Yeah, and that's where like he's just been able to utilize, I think, his weight, just kind of putting it onto his chest, and that makes it hard for Lamb to really do anything out of that.
Yeah, when you're in that setup position too, and you get folded forward a little bit, you're always concerned for that cradle coming in. You might not really want to create an opportunity where you might give up 4 instead of getting your 1. Lamb flat once again.
Yeah.
Sacco doing a great job on top riding within this first period.
Yeah, and he's already has over a minute now and 10 seconds and counting of riding time with the 2-0 advantage.
Working for kind of a bar, maybe looking for a tilt, maybe looking to just straight run it. Lamb has to build his base if he wants to get out of that bar. And he got hit with a stall early in the first period. A first period stall.
Who is that?
For
Who
Lamb.
just got hit? That was Adam Lamb on the bottom that got hit with the stall. Interesting.
Said Lamb is not working up, not looking to create offensive opportunities and score points. Sacco, that's a credit to Sacco's ability to ride on top, especially with keeping in that bar that deep. Lamb's always at risk and doesn't want to create any sketchy movement.
Yeah, and I mean, if you ask me right now, Colin, if I win the coin toss and if I'm TCNJ's, Nick Sacco, I would want to ride to continue this ride at this point.
I mean, it's definitely a consideration. He does defer. You would think that Sacco would go down because that quote unquote free point from bottom is so valuable. As you see, Lamb,
he made the decision for him.
Lamb's that escape point is one of the most valuable points in wrestling. That's why you see so many people go down. But interesting choice from Lamb, getting rid for over 2 minutes in the first period, decide to go down.
Yeah, and just like that, we're back into almost that same position right now where Sacco's kind of just pancaked Lamb.
Yep. Parallel ride. Sacco's got that bar on that right side. It's a very dominant position for Sacco. One that I can't imagine many people were going to think Lamb was going to be in for over 2 minutes to this point. Interesting that Sacco doesn't necessarily look like he wants to run that bar for near fall. He's just kind of using it as a control aspect to ride. And Lamb, it was a great stand-up, gets his knees underneath him, and now we're in a situation.
This is an impressive show of strength right now by Nick Sacco.
Sacco holding on. Lamb in a switch, but he can't switch as he normally would because he will be out of bounds if he does hit a switch. So he's trying to scramble his way to an escape back inbounds and just unable to do so. Sacco doing a great job there, keeping his feet in, letting that time run off that clock. The less time he has to ride in the center of the mat, the better for Sacco.
And there was a good little bout right there for 5th place, correct me if I'm wrong, where Ithaca College's Travis Jones just had a major decision over his opponent.
Yeah, and on the 3rd and 4th place, we see an upset for Elizabethtown College as they pick up the fall over their opponent. Back here, action on the 1st place mat. Lamb is about as close as he's been the entire match for getting an escape, and Sacco rides him out of bounds.
Yeah, he was just that close to just breaking it, as I think he had kind of just got through that wrist lock and then kind of got thrown out of bounds. Separating
your hips when you're in that stand-up position is the absolute key. Unfortunately for Lamb, Sacco's done a great job of following him to the edge of the mat, staying tough on that ride. See, a lot of wrestlers maybe aren't as confident in their ability on top. They'll cut them if they're getting up in the center instead of riding them all the way to the edge. But Sacco's saying, hey, I read you this long, I'll ride you the rest of the match if I have to. Anything for this victory. It doesn't have to be pretty.
Yeah, and now if I'm Sacco, do I make the decision right now in the 3rd period to start it on top potentially?
It's definitely a consideration. There's a couple times that Lamb was able to get the stand up. Here we're in a situation here where Lamb in a crab ride, Lamb kind of has that advantage just because he has his hips up in the air, but Sacco throwing the leg in, doing a great job getting in a controlled position in the crab as time runs out. And this is a great job riding for Sacco. And now you see for the coaches, they're pointing down. They're like, hey, we want you to go bottom. Let's get 3 points here. With riding time officially locked up, so he cannot lose that riding time point. He's racked over 4 minutes of riding time, only 2 minutes in a period.
Yeah.
So,
and we described the only real shot that was taken, and it was that pretty one that we saw within that first period. And I want to say it was, 30 seconds into this matchup?
Yeah, that gorgeous single that Sacco hit. Lamb cuts him, says, I'm not really as confident to turn him, but see, action stopped. And they didn't run the clock off. Seems to be the issue. So doing some clock work over there on the table, administrative things. Sacco does still get his one no matter what, though. So we are starting here in neutral. 3-0, effectively a 4-0 match with that riding time for Sacco. Lamb's going to need a big move or a couple takedowns here in the 3rd period.
No, but this has been a very interesting and very mano-a-mano type bout that, in my opinion, has been dominated by Nick Sacco. But like you said, anything can happen here within this last minute and a half or so.
There's 7 minutes in a wrestling match, and if you're losing 14-0, prepared to get teched, but you pin him with a second remaining, still get your hand raised. So Lamb definitely not going to give up, especially a veteran like him who's been in situations like this before where he's been down and had to come back with some late match heroics. Definitely going to see some offense probably fly out of him within the next minute. Here, TCNJ's bench yelling, he's coming, there's a minute left. Sacco's going to play defense here. If you're Sacco, too, you're able to give up a stall if you really want to. You take that point on the board, and they call potentially dangerous for choking, for a guillotine is what it seems like.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, as there are now 52 seconds here remaining in this 165-pound matchup.
One of the most dominant performances we've seen within this finals, which is crazy to see, to think it would come from number 16 Sacco over a number 3 Lamb up to this point. That's why once you get to this point, rankings don't matter as much as Sacco defends a shot.
I was going to say, Adam Lamb right there went in for a shot right there, trying to go for an ankle.
Lots of ankle picks, lots of head inside singles.
15 seconds here and counting. Adam Lamb has to do something. But regardless, both these gentlemen have already punched their tickets to Roanoke, Virginia.
Lamb with a beautiful ankle pick, but too little, too late, as Sacco takes the victory.
Yeah. As that is definitely a good win right there for TCNJ's Nick Sacco, as he upset Adam Lamb right there, or excuse me, Austin Lamb. And that'll move the action to 174 pounds. But what were you going to say, Colin, before I cut you off there?
I wanted to just mention team score-wise, that win for TCNJ over RIT. RIT's solidified their third place finish, but for the Ithaca and TCNJ bout, especially with as Chuck Weezy coming up at 197, who is the favorite to win, that is big for TCNJ to be able to secure that upset #1 victory.
Yeah, that kind of puts a little bit more pressure, not on top of but in the back of his mind. Now he has to think about the team aspect of it a little bit more than just the individualism of wrestling.
For sure.
In a tournament type environment.
And that comes down to a coaching standpoint too. Maybe a couple of decisions make. You're trying to be a little bit more aggressive. While Ez could certainly win by decision, maybe you put a situation where you want bonus points, you want a major, you want a tech fall, even a fall. So it's definitely worth mentioning for the team score. Waiting for the 5th and 6th bout to finish up. 40 seconds on the clock.
157-pound award winners to the award area queen.
This next matchup at 174, a wrestler that we've personally seen a lot here at Ithaca College.
The Charlie Grigas.
Comes in with a number 7 ranking. And we've seen him win some matches dominate some really good wrestlers, and then we've seen him have a couple close calls here. Early on in this bracket, Grigas squeaks out the first match of the entire tournament for him in a 2-1 decision against Doherty from RIT.
Was that in the prelim rounds there, or was that just his first round bout there?
They were out of the prelims.
Okay.
So, yeah, they didn't get selected into the prelims, so that was just first match of the bracket. But he squeaks out a 2-1 victory, which he was moments away from getting upset before the time ran out in the third. Doherty was deep in on a shot and in a position where they would call 2, but you can't call 2 when there's no time on the clock. But Grigas was able to survive that and then go on to win back-to-back decisions. to make his way into the finals. But on the opposite side, we have another ranked wrestler, Anson Dewar from Muhlenberg. While Gragas is number 7, Muhlenberg comes in with a number 8 ranking. So, battling for that one-spot jump. A little bit extended time because on the 5th and 6th place bout, it seems that they hit a last-minute big-time throw for 2-point takedown and 2-point near fall. It is now 7-7 in overtime.
Our award winners at 157 pounds. And 8th place from Montana State, Max Yair.
We have a wrestler from Brockport and Klein, and Bull from New Jersey City. Both wrestling, headgears flying off. Takedown wins it.
In 5th place,
165, definitely a tough bracket. So just to be able to get in that 5th and 6th place match, try to earn your way to Natties. Huge accomplishment.
In 3rd place from Muhlenberg, Brandon Bull.
Bull with some level changes here.
Your runner-up,
Minute running down.
Matthew Sacco. And your Mideast regional champion.
Klein trying to lose that underhook, and Bull goes with a massive headlock, and he hits it. He hits a massive headlock. You hear the slap of the mat from across the gym.
No, that was huge right there. And that just basically won him the match, though, right, Colin?
Yeah, that wins the match. Sudden victory. That headlock on the edge wins the match, and in style with a big headlock.
And from Ithaca, Jackson Gray.
Definitely the most exciting and deafening move that we heard this entire finals.
Wrestling for 3rd, a freshman from Newport, Pennsylvania. Representing Elizabethtown, Gabe Smith. He faces off against a regional place winner from last year, a senior from Wayne, New Jersey. From TCNJ, Reed Kalala. Wrestling in the finals, a 4th place regional finisher last year, a sophomore from Merrimack, New Hampshire, from Muhlenberg, Anson Dewar.
Wrestling here at 174 is now going to be underway as we have number 7, Charlie Gragas, and Anson Dewar from Muhlenberg, who is number 8 in the country. The top 10 bout here in the Mideast Championship.
Yeah, this should be a very entertaining bout right now.
Greg is very solid. Wrestles almost like we mentioned earlier, like the Sacco brothers, lots of decisions, but he comes out on top in a lot of these decisions. Dewar, a little bit more of a point scorer than Gragas.
Yep.
Started this tournament with a 10-0 major decision after the prelims where he has a couple falls. Then in the second round, in the quarters, comes up with a fall before squeaking out a 5-3 decision over a ranked Joe Paul out of Johns Hopkins, number 24 in the country.
Yeah, and those are all kind of impressive wins, if I could say so myself, as they're kind of just feeling each other out right now.
Yeah, for your only non-bonus point win to be against a ranked opponent to get into the finals, I would say Anson's having a pretty good tournament at this point. Greg is in a position that he likes a lot, this kind of double under situation. Anson DeWar buries his head into his chest, and they call a stalemate as soon as action was picking up.
Yeah, as they will have to reset here with a minute 32 remaining in the first period of this 174-pound bout between Charlie Grigas and Anson DeWar from Muhlenberg.
Kind of catch each other in, coming on a shot, and Grigas going big with the double unders, goes for a little outside trip. They both come down to the mat. DeWar does a great job putting his hips down to the mat in a sprawl type position, making sure he's not getting thrown to his back. Grigas went big. He's looking to end it early.
Yeah. And that's where DeWar, in his previous matchup, he had a close 5-3 decision over that opponent from Johns Hopkins.
Yeah,
who's
Paul Rank,
yeah, he's typically a tough opponent too, so. Yeah, I honestly don't expect many, you don't really expect a tech fall here in this championship rounds or many major decisions unless something just catastrophe happens within mid-round.
Yeah, not a lot of bonus point victories. If you do see it, it's probably a fall coming from some specific move, or someone just that dominant. But in a region as competitive as this, not many bonus point victories against these ranked opponents. Greg is trying to set up a shot of his own. DeWar has been a little bit defensive in this match. Probably a stylistic decision. As it is 0-0 entering the second period. Greg selects down. Wants that escape point. Neither wrestler to this point in the tournament has done a lot on top. A lot of their points have come from neutral and or escapes on bottom. So interesting to see if either wrestler chooses to ride here.
Yeah, as I quickly just pulled up Charlie Grigas' track wrestling profile coming into this bout, if everything was actually tracked correctly, he has a 28-4 overall record with 5 pins, 3 techs, and 11 major decisions.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot more of a, he's not very much of a pinner, doesn't go for a ton of techs. For as high of his ranking is, a lot of times see guys that in the top 10, a lot of techs, a lot of pins. He wins a lot by decision, but they're always convincing decisions. Those losses, Grigas has been upset a couple times this season, but for every upset he has a couple really dominant ranked wins, so it's hard to move him outside of that top 10 if you're any of the coaches.
Yeah, and his path to the finals was a decision over Ben Doherty of RIT via a 2-1 decision, and then a major decision win over Kenny Sauer of Oneonta State, 14-6. And then in his semifinal bout, he
Grigas in on a shot here and comes up and dumps him.
That's a great move right there by
DeWar
Grigas.
in his head. He comes up for that single with a high crotch in a situation where you would typically see DeWar from Muhlenberg sprawl out of earlier in this match, but Grigas really, really strong, picks him up right in the air and dumps him on his back. You see DeWar's coaches over there on Muhlenberg side, they want locked hands, but no locked hands called. And that was an amazing takedown from Grigas.
Yeah, he's proven to be a little bit of a tough ride as well here. As he kind of lets him escape there to get back into that neutral position.
Yeah, neither wrestler really known for their top work.
Yeah,
they just want to rack up a little bit of riding time there, so when they go down, it's not as much of a concern.
No, and I honestly kind of expect this to be maybe a 1 to 2 point matchup here. going in either of these athletes' favor.
Definitely more likely to be decided by a takedown, and we might see, Grigas with a nice throw by there, catching that underhook in.
Yeah,
Dewar able to square.
Yeah, he tried circling there, but that's the end of the second period. But I'd say advantage Charlie Grigas here through the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, with that beautiful high crotch, he was able to really show his power, show how strong he is for this weight, for the 174 weight class, and pick Dewar clean off his feet as Dewar gets hit with a caution. Trying to get that little bit extra jump. A little bit more time to work on his feet. Grigas with a thigh ride, just lets him go.
And with that neutral point, it is now 3-2, but Charlie does have the 28 seconds of riding time in his favor.
The over-under position. Grigas really likes that underhook, but Dewar doesn't seem to be too interested in really attempting to score from there. Grigas has really been the one pushing his offense, taking a lot more shots, trying a lot more throws with that outside trip. Dewar kind of content, looking for that one opportunity. It only takes one takedown. Dewar's first shot in a while.
Yep, as there is now less than a minute left here in this bout.
Dewar's going to have to crank up the opportunities here. 50 seconds remaining, and he needs a takedown.
Yeah, he needs to find something out of those bag of tricks that each one of these guys that came to Ithaca, New York has at their disposal.
Grigas content with kind of running away here a little bit. He's okay giving up a stall. He's not really concerned about it.
Yep.
And there you see it.
There's the stall right there, yep.
Now he can afford to give another one, but it doesn't matter as Grigas gets in on a head outside single. Dewar looking to roll through
There's
and funk
two.
roll, and Grigas comes out on top, and that pretty much solidifies the match with time running off the clock.
Yeah, as you see him nodding right there to, I think, some Oswego State fans there as Charlie, he realizes how big of a move that was for himself there.
Yeah, he knows. Catching Dewar off guard after they call that stall and comes out on top. Your number one at 174, Charlie Grigas takes home a title.
Yeah, congrats to Oswego State's Charlie Grigas right there. That was an impressive bout at 174 pounds.
Yeah, he really controlled that entire match, the entire way through. Looked good on top, didn't spend too much time on bottom. His neutral attacks were great. Even the times he didn't score, they were clean. That double under outside trip was clean on the edge, even though he didn't score. So Grigas looking dangerous going into Nationals.
Yeah. And I think he's just kind of starting to peak right at that right time of the year right now.
Not to mention, that was against number 8 in the country. To dominate a number 7 versus number 8 bout like that, very impressive. Waiting for the 3rd and 4th place match to finish up here before we resume at 184. TC&J versus Elizabethtown for 3rd place. Coella from TC&J. for Elizabethtown, you have Gannon Smith, who came in as not really a favorite. And Smith actually upset Coella earlier in the tournament. Coella, who's ranked number 11.
Yeah, coming into this weekend, right?
Yeah, and he was the favorite to meet Grigas in the semis. But instead it was Smith. Gannon Smith upset him. And they meet again for the third place bout. Smith in the lead again. Right now he's up 3-0. He did just get hit with a stall, but he's not that concerned with a 3-0 lead. He can afford to take a point. Definitely wants to be on the edge here where he's at. Not likely to get taken down, much less likely anyway, as they go back to the center. Coella just trying to create any opportunity he had with 10 seconds on the clock. It's an over-under situation. Gannon Smith knows he's in the lead, and his time runs down. Smith coming in, beating Coella twice this tournament.
Yeah, that's an impressive feat right there. And like we said previously about one of the other wrestlers, he's starting to really peak himself right now, right at the right time of the season.
Yeah, it's all about peaking the right time. I mean, his only loss was to Grigas. He lost 7-5, and that was another close one where he was in on a shot late and Grigas was able to defend. So Smith having a great tournament to this point. Coming in at third place. That someone that, at least bracket-wise, didn't look to make an absolutely massive impact.
Yes, that'll now bring up the 184-pound weight class, and that'll we'll introduce first. The first wrestler from RIT is Colby Giroux. Colby, in his first round matchup, he actually won in a sudden victory. That's actually quite an interesting start to his regional, where he actually won just by a slight 11-8 decision over Muhlenberg's Ryan Fairchild.
Yeah, definitely interesting because Colby Giroux came in as the favorite. He is ranked number 14 in the country, so winning, coming in, winning your first match by sudden victory, it's definitely something that
not the start you're really looking for.
Not the start that you're really looking for, but since then he's looked really good.
Yeah, hasn't given up a point since then.
No, he's very. I think part of it was he's a very defensive wrestler. When he wrestles, he relies on that defense. He only needs one takedown, and then he's feeling comfortable. And in that match, he was able to get that defense penetrated a little bit, and not the start that he wanted to, but he's able to battle back and worked his way into the finals, where he's up against Isaac Corey out of Penn Tech. And Corey, who would have guessed, is also ranked at this point. He is ranked number 11 by D3 Wrestling. He did beat number 1 seed in the region, Sean Malafant, who isn't. 184 is a weird weight class when it comes to the rankings, because some of these wrestlers who are ranked by D3 Wrestling aren't ranked by NCAA. So Isaac Corey, who's ranked by number 11 by D3 Wrestling, beat Sean Malafant from Alfred State, who's not ranked by D3 Wrestling, but is ranked number 11 by the coaches poll.
That's very interesting. And another one of his bouts that he actually won, he actually faced off against SUNY Cortland's Brian Torres, who is a stronger wrestler, in my opinion at least, and that was a close matchup with Torres coming out the loser via a 6-4 decision.
Yeah, Torres is also ranked, so adding another ranked victory to Corey's repertoire here this tournament. So a lot of tight matches, but I mean that's expected as you go through and wrestle these ranked wrestlers. So we have 2 ranked individuals here, fighting for a spot, fighting for the title. Colby Giroux, number 3 in bracket-wise. Corey was in the middle of the road. Well, not middle of the road, but he was number 4. So a quote-unquote upset-filled
184-pound bracket there, huh? Yeah, I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but Penn Tech's wrestling program is honestly, I want to say it's only started within the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
as a varsity NCAA program.
It is a fairly new program, but they do get a lot of good wrestlers. As you might expect, a Pennsylvania College of Technology, they're able to scout that PIAA tournament and pick up some of those guys that maybe don't want to go for a traditional type of major, want to get in a tech field. So while they are new, they are very competitive. A lot of their guys are from PA. A lot of guys place in that PA tournament, and anyone that you might imagine place at Pennsylvania States is going to do decently well at the next level.
Yeah, as both these guys are kind of feeling each other out here for the first 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, type of matchup we're going to expect with Giroux
like
here.
You kind of described both these wrestlers. They're very defensive, as they're kind of like they're stalking their prey right now.
Great analogy. They're gonna get in these ties. They're gonna try to fill each other out, and you probably won't see any major, barring any mistakes. You probably won't see any major attempts within this first period. Tried our luck in top and bottom here, and then maybe in third we'll see a little bit more offense. Joe does have that reach advantage. Is a little bit lankier of a wrestler, although he does not trade his height for strength. Is very strong in there, so he's not going to be afraid to get in there with ties against Corey.
Yep, as there is now 10 seconds, a little less than 10 now, remaining here in the first round, which has been scoreless between Colby Giroux and Isaac Corey.
RIT wins the flip, and they want to go down.
All right, interesting start here. Let's see how long it'll take Colby Giroux to potentially get out of this situation.
Giroux is a little bit more of a rider than Corey. Corey's not giving up. See, tries a mat return, nothing going. Says, we'll play on our feet a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if something was said between those two wrestlers. They kind of looked like they were chirping at each other, but they return now to the fighting for that wrist control.
Very looping attempt there by Joe, but he gets in there, uses his length to his advantage. They're in a head outside single, and Corey with the whizzer in. We're going to have to limp arm out, maybe try to shelf this. Corey's working his way to the edge, knows where he is on the mat. Does a great job keeping that shin whizzer, working your way to the edge.
That's a good, impressive show of strength right there by Colby Giroux as he was trying to drag him back to that center of the mat.
And great flexibility by Corey here. Playing that edge well, knowing he has to establish full control, even though he's in a really awkward position here. It's really tough for Giroux to score.
Yeah,
as he uses his length and he comes in, keeps both feet on the mat while Corey's laying halfway onto the Cornell mat next door.
There, finally he was pushed off the outside circle of the mat right there. But holy smokes.
Thankfully for Giroux there, that was on the side of the mat adjacent to the mats next door. If that's near the table or close here to the track, it's a question if
that's
Corey
an officiating. That's an official. You put that in the officials' hands of whether they're going to blow the whistle or not.
Giroux decides, let him up. Content with his takedown. 3-1 match. A lot of tight bouts, a lot of tense bouts here so far leading up to this 184 championship match.
As there is now 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds here and counting left in the second period, with Colby Giroux of RIT holding that narrow 3-1 lead going into the final third period.
Yeah, Corey definitely going to select down, especially when Giroux wasn't really hell-bent on trying to ride him on top.
Yes, I think Giroux right now is trying to flatten him out, but it really hasn't been successful in doing that.
Yeah, Corey very strong. It's quality base.
Yeah, smart right there by Isaac Corey, kind of to walk himself out of that to get back into that neutral position. Or not, excuse me, now he's still on the bottom.
Yeah.
But I don't think he could have broken out of that from where he was at.
Yeah, definitely not. And you definitely don't want anything crazy to happen there on the edge. Might as well just get the restart. If you're that confident and comfortable as Corey seems to be in his ability to stand up.
Yeah, as it looks like he's about to break that lock.
Nice stand up. Way to turn over and be able to throw that underhook in. You hear a lot of coaches yell about reaching back in positions like that, but if you're able to secure that overhook and really clamp down, you'll be able to create that separation from your hips and turn in and get your one.
174-pound placement.
Nice ankle pick coming from space is Corey, and Drew is able to high step out of that. A little tap dancing going on.
Yeah, good little defensive tactic right there by Giroux. As there is just under a minute now left in this final third period, with Giroux leading 3-2, but also holding a 39-second advantage in riding time as well.
Yeah, Corey, I would assume that Corey's going to look for that ankle pick again. There's great technique there, able to cup the back heel of Giroux, which really puts him in a compromising position, especially Giroux, who's kind of a little bit of a heavier wrestler on his feet. Just because he's so tall, he kind of doesn't really have that lower center of balance. So, and there he is, and he's unable to collect that ankle as Drew has a really nice sprawl. And 20 seconds remaining, Drew's happy to sit here.
Yeah, no, this is good defense right now by Colby Giroux. Because now there is less than 15 seconds. This is make or break time for Isaac Corey as he needs to find a shot.
And Drew does not have a stalling here, so he's able to just play this out and back away.
There's that stall warning.
With 3 seconds remaining is not much of a difference.
Yeah, that was a good tight matchup right there with Colby Giroux taking it 4-2.
Yeah, with two defensive wrestlers like that, it's kind of the match that you expect. A couple really good shot attempts, but really good defense from both wrestlers. Tight match, 3-2, but really, really, really quality wrestling from those ranked wrestlers.
And now that'll honestly bring us almost to the weight class that we're all waiting for, but I think we'll probably pan to another mat here in the action.
Go over to the third and fourth place match where we have a brick coming in. Perfect timing.
Yeah, why not, right?
As we pan to the brick, we see a little bit of an argument going on. Talking about, I could only imagine what they're talking about. As wrestler from Oneonta was nearly pinned. In this match, we have Jack Ryan from Oneonta coming in here. He also beat Sean Malenfant from Alfred State. And we have Nagel. Both on the same side of the bracket. Gary Nagel lost to Giroux, who we just saw win the 184 bracket.
Yeah, that was
him early on.
That was the semifinal match, or was that an early matchup that they had met?
That was early on in the quarters.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Jack Ryan, who actually was able to upset Quinn Hadid from College of New Jersey. TCNJ coming in there, and they were looking favorited to enter the finals. Yeah. Before Jack Ryan came in with other plans, and after squeaking by a very tight 5-3 decision and a 6-3 decision over Hadid, able to fight his way here into the third place match. Now Ryan keeping the momentum after beating Malenfant 7-1. convincing fashion is here. He's up 4-1 over Nagel from your sinus. Kind of hanging on the head here. We get an over-under position. Favors Nagel here being down 3. Maybe look for something big. Riding time is not a factor in this match. 1:30 left in the third period. Try and really controlling the center space. Ryan is able to collect a go behind, and that pretty much solidifies the match. Being up 6-1 in the top position with a minute remaining.
And just like that, we only have 2 weight classes remaining with 197 pounds and then the vaunted heavyweight division.
Heavyweight division, my absolute favorite. I love watching the big guys roll around. You never know what's going to happen because here's the thing. Everyone says it's boring, but you never know. It might be the biggest throw that you're ever going to see in your life.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more than exciting than over 500 pounds being tilted through the air.
No, you're not wrong with that one. And that's where it's a lot. They throw down at that weight division.
So as time rolls off the clock here, Jack Ryan going to win it here for Oneonta.
In 7th place for Oneonta, Hank Sauer.
Hand back to the first and second place mat.
Yeah, and that this is a matchup I think a lot of us here in the Ithaca-Cortland region have been waiting for. As this was another matchup from the Rumble and Tumble that we did not be able to witness as Chiqueezy will be squaring off against Demetrius Henry from Cortland.
Definitely, and both these wrestlers are ranked. Chiqueezy coming in here with a number 6 ranking from D3 Wrestle and a number 5 by the coaches poll. Demetrius Henry is coming with a number 15 ranking from the coaches and beat number 13 Harkless from RIT to get to this point in a very, very tightly contested bout. It was back and forth the entire time before Henry was able to get a late third period takedown.
Yeah. No, and then kind of describing as his road to the championship bout, he took on NJCU's Darren Karasinglulo, and he had a pin within 2 minutes and 39 seconds. And something about Ez's road here, something stands out, Colin. What would that be?
Yeah, what you might think would be the fastest pin of the day in 30 seconds. It was the fastest pin within the championship bout. And then his next match, he had a fall within 3 minutes and 27 seconds, which if you add all of that together, it's just under the amount of time to wrestle one full match. So he's by far and away the favorite. After day 1, he had the most pins in the least amount of time and a dominant win in the semis. I personally think that he's the favorite right now to win most outstanding wrestler.
Yeah, I was going to say, he honestly put on a technical clinic in his semifinal bout, and it could be arguably said, I don't even think he broke a sweat during it.
No, I haven't seen him get wiped down or anything at any point today. He's in amazing shape. He's looked so good. His technique is as clean as ever, and
what can we say? I mean, he's a returning All-American, and I think he's actually going to take a medical forfeit win as he was crowned champion of the 197-pound weight class. So we were spoiled of that potential bout. Until probably nationals, we'll say.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see it. Especially, I mean, we did see Henry wrestle today in a shoulder brace. He was having a little bit of issues in his semi-victory, but I certainly didn't expect a medical forfeit win. But
I mean, it's an interesting decision, but I think it probably is the smartest one with the road to Roanoke in that in the forefront.
Yeah, definitely. If you are able to secure your spot in nationals, maybe those lingering injuries, especially going up against someone as dominant as number 5.
You don't want to take a mat toss to the shoulder and potentially have your shoulder get dislocated or anything like that. So.
Right.
It's just very unfortunate. We were very excited to kind of witness that.
Unfortunate for the fans, especially because they didn't meet in the Rumble and Tumble duel. But, it was probably the right decision from Cortland coaches. And I'm sure SA's really not too mad about another regional title.
No, not at all. And maybe if the stars align, they might actually meet up down in Roanoke in the national tournament.
A little bit about Eze's route. So we were mentioned earlier about his really quick fall within 30 seconds. There was actually a match today on the consolation side. The match completely escapes me, but I remember watching it. A 10-second fall. The fastest that I have seen, not only in this tournament, but all year long. 10 seconds.
10 seconds. What weight class was that in?
It was in one of the middle classes. I wish I would have wrote down the match because I remember seeing it happen live, and I was kind of shocked at what I saw.
And I'm assuming that 10 seconds has to win the fastest pin of this tournament.
You would think so. It was a really sick throw. They got into a really quick over-under position, and it was just like an inside trip right to his back and a quick fall.
Yeah.
It was amazing to watch. Really, really cool. As we pan over to the 3rd and 4th place match to give you guys a little bit of action going on, we have Harkless from RIT. And Rochester's 197 wrestler is indeed ranked. While he did lose to Henry from Cortland, who is number 15, Harkless is number 13 in the country, and he is taking on Harris from Muhlenberg.
Yeah, as it's been pretty close these through that first period, as it's 0-0, as they just went through that coin flip.
Yeah, Jaden Harris, seeing number 4 coming into this. He actually lost. What sent him to the consolation bracket is his match against RIT's Harkless. So interesting, a really, really tight bout, 3-2. So interesting to see how this is going to shape up scoreless into the second period. We might get another really tight match.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot of rankings in the 197 bracket. It is definitely a competitive weight class. We have a New York State champ with Iglis from Alfred State, and D'Addario from TCNJ, who to this point was really, really competitive and kind of a dark horse to get in there on the podium. And I mentioned earlier how I couldn't remember the weight class or who got the 10-second pin.
But guess what?
Here we are. Kevon Berry from the College of New Jersey. 10-second fall over Kaskin from Oswego in the consolation bracket. Funny how things work out.
Yeah. But that is crazy. To be able to take a shot, get somebody down into a position, and then pin them within 10 seconds is quite an impressive feat, especially here at an NCAA regional. You would expect something like that maybe at an invitational or something along those lines towards the beginning of the season. But here at a postseason event, that's super impressive.
It was absurd, and it was a sick trip. You're able to see it if anybody wants to go take a look. It is On Track Wrestling. You are able to see the video of it. So for viewers back home who maybe have a laptop next to them, it was really, really funny. Really, really fun to watch as we see in the 3rd place match. Time is ticking down, and stalling is called here on Harris. And I did say Harris is from Muhlenberg earlier. That's on me. He's from McDaniel.
Gotcha.
Not from Muhlenberg.
Just got the M's mixed up.
Yeah, I know. So many M's going on. But Harris does get hit with a stall, which he is up 1-0 going into the 3rd. Harkless taking bottom. Harkless in position to get a quick escape. All he has to do is throw that arm through, and there he does. Brings his elbow to his hip. He's throwing over, and it's 1-1. The stall that late in the second period really, really hurts Harris, because if he does manage to get a takedown and escape here, he can't really back away and run.
Yeah, he really has to press and keep towards his foot on that gas pedal, pressing.
Yeah, with the stall in the third, in such a tight bout, really your best defense is your offense here. So look for Harris to really, really, even if he does score a touchdown, keep on that pressure, keep shooting shots, at least get in on some ties where it looks like he's working, maybe if he's playing more defensive. But not to that point yet, as we have a minute remaining, and the score is still tied. Riding time is not a factor. Harkless has 30 seconds on the clock, and we're in an over-under position here, or in front headlock, and he comes down into a near side cradle off the edge of the mat. Harkless looks like that has it locked up, and he gets two as he keeps one foot in. A near side cradle.
That was impressive right there.
Coming from a front headlock position, able to snap down, create an angle, and lock up a near side cradle. Harkless trying to let the time run off the clock as much as he possibly can. Looks like Harris trying to catch his breath before going back in the center. Needs a quick escape and a takedown here for a victory. A reversal will tie it, but Harkless has 48 seconds of riding time. If he rides for an extra 12 seconds, he's going to get an extra point. So Harris needs a quick escape here.
You think he has it in him or no?
Riding time has just been officially secured. 1:03 on the riding time. 10 seconds remaining. Harris needs a takedown here to tie the match. Couple attempts, not really happening. Harkless runs to the center of the mat, says, Harris, come get me, and his time ticks off. Harkless able to take home a podium finish.
Yeah, that was a competitive bout, and you could tell that both those guys really put everything they had into that one, as you can see how gassed the winner was there.
Yeah, for sure. Both wrestlers certainly wrestled for a full 7 minutes. A little bit of heavy breathing. Great match. And a great takedown and near side cradle by Harkless to really secure it for him.
And that'll bring us down to the vaunted heavyweight division, where we will have a big-time matchup with TCNJ's Peter Wersinger versus Nate DeGroff from RIT.
Yeah, Nate DeGroff coming in here in an upset. Dylan Waller from Elizabethtown, ranked number 26 by 3-3 Wrestle, had a really dominant first match with a sub-minute fall, then was able to win 3-1, which it was a very, very convincing 3-1 before DeGroff came in and upset him in the semis 4-3 over like a last second takedown. One of the ones where they had to go to review, see if there's time on the clock still.
Yeah.
Peter Wersinger comes in also ranked one spot below Elizabethtown's Waller at number 25. Wersinger has not given up a takedown this entire match.
He's been basically their big point earner for the Lions from TCNJ, as in his prelim round, he scored a 13-4 major decision victory. Then that moves into a 49-second fall over Brandon Hamilton from Keystone. And then in his quarterfinal matchup, he won 6-1 versus Jeremy Mazzella from Ithaca. And then he was victorious 5-0 over Joe Giannis from Brockport.
Yeah, he's definitely looked good all day. All day today. Well, in his one match today and all weekend, as he looked really good yesterday. Wersinger is definitely not conventional in his heavyweight style, even though he is big-bodied and he looks like the type of guy who's going to really mock up,
but
get over.
He's agile.
He's very agile. He really likes that outside single. He shoots that a lot, and he will ride on top.
Wrestling for third from Johnson, New York, representing Rockport, Joe Yanis.
DeGraff from RIT. He's a little bit slightly more traditional in the sense. He uses his height to his advantage. He's very, very tall for 285. Really fills out the weight class.
I was going to say, both their body types are quite similar, as they do have that lower body of the 285-pound weight class.
New Jersey, Peter Wersinger.
As this bout gets underway here.
Seeing the classic heavyweight ties, you see Wersinger shooting really, really fast. Typically, you might not
see those big guys do that. No.
Sometimes you don't see a shot for a whole 7 minutes, but Wersinger says, "I'm going to shoot within 10 seconds."
And he goes in for another one, huh?
The key in this match for both these guys, when they shoot, make sure you're not underneath the other wrestler. Once you get up to heavyweight, you get in these weight classes. If you're trying to shoot high crotch or just straight on doubles, most of the time you're going to get straight stuffed. These guys are really big. They're really strong. It's hard to shoot underneath 285 pounds and move that, especially when they're not willing to give you a takedown for free.
No.
A little bit slower after those first couple shots from Wersinger. Wersinger is an on-paper favorite here, ranked number 25, but DeGraff already has one upset on the day, looking to make it two.
Now this is a good fight right here so far.
And this is what we typically see, a lot of hand fighting. Baseball grip there for DeGraff. You're going to see a lot of that. Just trying to create an opportunity. Just get those big guys off balance.
That inch of space to really get in for that shot that you want to take to get that takedown.
There's not many scrambles that don't end up in points once you get to 285. So every shot, like there, a little
he's got his leg
single.
There it is.
Beautiful shot by Wersinger.
There's two.
DeGraff worried about getting snapped down there. Those heavy hands. Allowed Wersinger to come out. Little knee pick single. Head outside and drive through. Wersinger has done a really, really good job on top throughout today and this weekend. He's only given up one escape.
Jeez. So he really knows how to ride, huh?
Yeah, different from most heavyweights. Wersinger is really tough on top. You see a lot of times guys get takedown and they're completely content with just cutting them, playing that slow game neutral, especially because there's not a lot of heavyweights that really are able to press that offense and shoot 3-4 shots in a row when they're down.
No, and I think he's really able to use his weight well, as he's able to really put that on like the chest and put that pressure that really kind of drains his opponent's energy out of him.
Right, and him being athletic enough too and flexible enough to get in some of these positions that you don't see from less flexible heavyweights, able to be that heavy, to keep that pressure, and then when they do get moving, that agility to follow with them is something that you don't see a lot.
Yeah, no, solid first period right there from Peter Wersinger, as he has a 2-0 lead. As he wins that coin toss and does select to go on bottom right now, as he wants to potentially gain that additional point.
Wersinger is, if you give him 1,000 choices as what he's going to take bottom 1,000 times. He's going to look to stand straight up. Being that as big and strong as he is.
That was too easy right there.
It's really tough to ride guys like that.
Yeah, as you saw Nate DeGraff trying to break his base at the bottom with his arm movement, but he was very unsuccessful at trying to do that.
A couple big, brutal arm chops, and Wersinger just absorbed him. He just took him on the chin and got his hips in the air. Now it's interesting here, down 3-0. Wersinger does have that riding time, thinking ahead to the third period. What's DeGraff going to do?
Yeah, it's hard because he really hasn't really gone in for that takedown, and he would really need almost 2 takedowns there in that third period to really get the crowd fired up and get them going in towards his momentum.
And with such a quick stand up there from Worsinger, even if you do manage to take him down, that riding time is well over a minute.
Yeah.
So if you go down and Worsinger does manage to ride you out, it's a tough decision for DeGraff. But as of right now, in these last 40 seconds, he's got to try to create some type of opportunity, maybe get in on those under overhooks and create a little bit of movement to score some points.
Yeah, and if you're Peter Worsinger, maybe try to catch Nate DeGraff asleep right now, maybe get an additional 2 points off of a takedown.
Yeah, you see DeGraff pressing in a lot because he needs those points. You look for Peter to maybe hit an outside single or sweep single or something of the sort. Of course, Worsinger is also more than content with just staying up top. But hey, let's just keep our ties. I have a 3-point lead, 4 effective with riding time. You're the one that needs to score here.
Yeah. With that whistle, the second period has expired.
And DeGraff does go neutral.
Okay, so DeGraff really needs 2 takedowns right now to potentially tie this matchup up.
Or maybe he's got a big throw under his sleeve. One big throw here gets 4 back points, erases that riding time. Next thing you know, it's 6-3, and Worsinger's got to come from a deficit.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of those big throws a lot more often at heavyweight because it's hard to stop 285 from moving.
Yeah, and we're not 100% sure, but this matchup might potentially clinch TCNJ the team title for this tournament.
Yeah. Worsinger here in a front headlock position.
Yeah, I think
it's really tough for DeGraff to get out of here.
There it
is.
is.
Worsinger using his weight, driving through, being able to pick that ankle up, break that forward leg base of that table, and great takedown there from Worsinger.
I was very impressed when he got him down on that ground. He circled, used his agility, and you don't really see that, like you said, from these big guys across the country.
Yeah, he can move for sure. Like we said before, he only gave up 1 escape point.
Will he give up 1 escape point in this championship bout? I have my crystal ball out here. I don't think so. But you never know.
You never know. I would have to agree with your crystal ball at this point. As he's got a bar and a half in, he's going to be looking for extra points, and he lets it go. But this entire regional, he's given up 1 point, which was an escape. And as he's up 5-0 with almost 2 minutes riding time here, it doesn't really look like he's going to give up another.
No. So he's got 30 seconds and a little less than that now.
A dominant performance here from Worsinger this weekend, and if he wrestles like this down in Virginia, you never know what happened. Rankings are only a number once you get down there.
Yeah, what did you say he had came into this weekend ranked at?
25.
Yeah, and that honestly should be a little bit motivation for him going into nationals. That disrespect all season long.
Definitely comes in with a chip on his shoulder. A few wins or a few losses earlier in the season. As you see, he's fired up. Nothing, no points is what he's telling the crowd and his coaches.
I don't even think he broke a sweat. Just kidding. He did break a sweat.
See the shiny gloss. And that concludes our finals matches here.
Yeah, but impressive nonetheless right there from Peter Worsinger.
And like you said before, that win certainly does secure TCNJ. It gives them the team title ahead of Ithaca College at number 2 and then RIT at number 3. RIT being the only tournament-ranked team at this Mideast at number 24 in the country.
Yeah, but nonetheless, tickets were punched here from Ithaca College. As like we discussed before, there were 5 wrestlers per weight class that are going to nationals. So, but we'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning into our broadcast here for Ithaca College Athletics. I'm Frank Myra.
And I'm Colin Herb.